Hey guys, Django Fett here. So we're back to do a spoiler review of Monster Hunter Legends of the Guild Netflix movie that is out right now. So we're going to do a full-on spoiler discussion. And if you haven't checked out our non-spoiler review, I'll put a link in the description. So please check that out. So we're going to go full-on spoilers. I got my friend GeneralCJG to join me once again.
Hey guys, I'm ready to fully talk spoilers of this movie.
Oh, and if you guys will also check out his channel. I put a link in the description down below. We do a lot of collaborations, so I recommend you check that as well. So, we're going to get right into it. We're going to go full on spoilers discussing the movie.
Hey, so the first thing we see is let's just say the present time where Aiden is actually in one of the ships. Apparently they seem to be going to the new world, the one the Fifth Fleet tackles in Monster Hunter World. Which is why we have the strong suspicion that this animated movie is like a prequel of sorts to Monster Hunter World because we see this cutscene at the beginning and at the very end where Aiden pretty much is telling the full backstory where he basically faced the Lunastra with the other hunters.
Yeah, and so, like, in the beginning, uh, we know that it's connected to World because they mentioned that, I mean, they show another um, person from Monster Hunter World, not Aiden, someone else,
A
a
serious
handler.
hand.
Yeah. So with that, and then they mentioned Zora Magdaros that they're gonna hunt Zora Magdaros, who's from Monster Hunter World.
And so one of the farmers tasked Aiden to pretty much go and retrieve his missing birds, and he was scouring tracks, like how a hunter would do. Though, if Aiden had been more experienced, he'd know that the Velocitron tracks that supposedly were making the Velocitrons guilty of stealing the birds. If he had been more for an expert, he would have known that those tracks were fake. So yeah, he was following fake Velocitron tracks to gather the birds, only to get ambushed by one of the Velocitrons, and he struggled a lot in killing him. He almost took him down by throwing him by having the Velocitron slip into like falling from a cliff. But he actually managed to climb back up and almost killed Aiden if it wasn't for the appearance of Julius. Yep, Ace Hunter from Monster Hunter 4. And can I mention how awesome it is actually seeing like full on Monster Hunter characters like portrayed very well. Like this Julius. Okay, it's been a while since I played Monster Hunter 4, the Django. If you have played recently, then you probably can better answer this. But how good did you think? How well did this movie portray Julius and the other hunters? Like for you, like how true their characters are they?
Oh, they did it perfectly. You know, not just in appearance, but in actually just talking to the characters. I thought they did it perfectly.
Hmm. And the way they acted and they also attacked the monsters, like pretty much accurate. So, which is excellent. Oh, and I think we should also mention another one of the big characters, which is basically the Palico Knox, voiced by Stephen Kramer Glickman, aka Gustavo Rogue. After Julius and Aiden return to the village, with Knox in custody for stealing the birds, apparently they get the message from Julius that, oh hey, Elder Dragon Lunastra is coming to this village. Is going to incinerate everything. They have to flee. They have to escape. And
Oh, and I thought it was interesting too. Is like while he was attacking uh, Nox, he was using a hammer. Like it was like this rock hammer.
so yeah, they have the Lunastra threat incoming, and so Aiden and Julius they go to assess the situation because the village actually does not believe Julius. They don't believe that the village is going to be incinerated by Lunastra, and the only way they believed is because Aiden volunteered to actually go with Julius to assess the situation and see if there actually truly is an elder dragon incoming. And they go and assess it, and yeah, surprisingly, they did find. They did see from far away, up in a high vantage point, that yes, it is indeed a Lunastra, an elder dragon, and it is indeed incoming to the village. And so that pretty much sets off that, well, they have to pretty much flee. Julius says that we have to pretty much evacuate the village. We have to go. But Aiden has another idea. Let's actually fight Lunastra.
Before this point, we have to mention that in the camp, they're actually set up in camp. They're like a day or two off, and then when they get to that point, they're camping, and then he's reading the journal. He's kind of telling him like what a hunter's duty is. He's like reading to himself. He's just trying to find out more information about the hunters, and all of a sudden a stampede appears, and some of the monsters you might notice right away. And there's like I think I'm blanking on the name of this one, but it's like a frog or toad like creature.
Oh, the Crowder?
And then I think there was a couple of others that I think the Velocidrome was there too. There was a couple of other monsters shown as well. Now, when Lunastra appears, I thought at first it was Teostra, because you see the red flames and you think, okay, that's Teostra, and that silhouette looks like Teostra because you do see him or her actually, but it actually ended up being Lunastra, and that really caught me off guard because Lunastra really is known for her blue figure and blue like flames. That's a really iconic look, and I think blue eyes too. I think I may be wrong with that.
No, she doesn't have blue eyes in the games. No.
Okay.
They're actually they're another color. But Lunastra's flames, they are indeed bluish purplish in the game, though it isn't out of the realm possibility that the flames could over time become red. Because Lunastra's blue flames, the blue flames themselves they don't last long, and it's not in the games. But if she's like incinerating like an entire forest or anything, it could go into normal color flames. So it's not the realm possibility that Lunastra could be behind a red fire. So there's that. And I think you should put an image here somewhere to Django, because Teostra and Lunastra from far away and without actually seeing them either up close or with some sort of a magnifying lens or something, like they do look pretty similar. They have like the same, almost the same physical appearance. There's only the minor differences between the two that distinguishes them. Like Teostra is red with orange and a bit of yellow, whereas Lunastra is blue with purplish. And they also have different like crowns in their heads. So they look kind of similar, but they're different. So that's why for those unassociated with Monster Hunter, they wouldn't know which one it is when they first see it, if they see this this animated movie. After they assess the situation, well, they decide that they're going to pretty much fight Lunastra, and so Julius, he fires a flare to reunite other hunters. Yep, Monster Hunter fans know throwing a flare means, yeah, we need some help. Get some other hunters, join us, so we can pretty much fight whatever threat we have. Fan service at its finest in regards to, well, how hunters pretty much work. And speaking of fan service, the next part we see Julius and Aiden. They're trying to find the journal, who that journal belongs to, the one that Nox has stolen, and they find this female hunter fighting a Nursilla from Monster Hunter 4, the freaking big spider.
It actually connects with another thing for the other movie, which was worse in every fucking way. There was multiple Nursillas, but it's not even close to the quality that this movie does, because it's like, you have the different web, you have him attacking with his webs, he has his poison attacks, and they're pretty much struggling the whole way through. And you even have the insect glaive used by the female hunter involved as well. And Aiden is struggling big time with this. He doesn't know what the hell to do.
The first time he tries going after the Nerzula, he ends up being webbed almost immediately.
Like, from a gameplay perspective, also like if you play the games and you have like somebody or yourself struggling against this one monster, and everybody else is like kind of like beating it up, like no problem, and they're kind of like helping you at the same time. Like that's kind of like how the game is. Like Aiden is. Scylla fight was cool, but there were some points where it was kind of hard for me to track some things where it's kind of like flailing around and attacking, some of the hunters, and it's just kind of hard to keep the focus on the Narcilla and the hunters. It was kind of like blurry in a sense, like it was just kind of hard to track, and maybe because maybe because also with it was pretty dark in that segment too.
To be fair, even in the games, Narcilla is kind of difficult to keep an eye on. So,
Yeah.
but I can see what you mean. From a camera perspective, from an animation perspective, yeah, I can see what you mean. With that. Oh, but I think we should get to the next fight. Once Julius, Aiden, and the female hunter, they pretty much they managed to take down the Narcilla. They actually another female hunter actually joined in the fray. To pretty much. Well, because the flare, that signals for help, and so the other female hunter, which actually Julius knows her. I think her name was what
Nadia.
was?
She was in Monster Hunter 4 as well.
Okay, yeah, Nadia. So yeah, Julius and Nadia know each other. So Monster Hunter 4. So there's that. So they pretty much have to like prepare some sort of also if they're gonna fight Lunastro, they need to prepare for supplies and shit. So they decided to go and hunt a Congalala, which they almost trapped the Congalala. Except that Aiden was not smart enough to put enough restraints on the trap, and so the Congalala was setting free. So that definitely it was a great trap. It's just that Aiden, he should have put all of the necessary restraints on the trap instead of just few of them.
You
But
have to mention that they're actually told that there's a blacksmith that can help them craft some weapons and armor. But when they approach him, he doesn't want to do anything for everyone. He just wants to be left alone. So that kind of just backfired. So when they go back to the camp, they try to devise a plan to kind of like get rid of this Lunastra. So they have to just, the villagers have to stay there too, and they want to stay there too, and they set up traps and stuff like that, and then they go to fight.
and the way they put the traps and everything, oh man, that's Monster Hunter fans. I know we mentioned a lot, but seriously, like this movie really feels like it's a big Monster Hunter love letter. Like all of it from start to finish. Not a single part fell out of place or just terribly shoehorned for the sake of appeasing a casual non-Monster Hunter fan. All the four hunters, like all of them. Aiden had his sword and shield. He was actually using a sword and shield. The Julius with the dual blades. The what was it? Leia, I think the female hunter that had the insect glaive, and Nadia, like all of them using their weapons to trap the Congalala, and then eventually a Deviljiho showed up, and they pretty much had to fight Deviljiho because Aiden did not want it to retreat when Julius was ordering him to do so. So they had to fight it, and they were struggling. Especially because, Leia was pretty much paralyzed by the Congalala's fart. That's one horrible way to get paralyzed. So there's that, and they had to By the way, the Deviljiho kicks the absolute shit out of the Congalala. Like the Congalala couldn't do shit against the Deviljiho. Like Deviljiho just.
I was actually surprised it was holding its own for a bit. Longer than I expected. Because
Yeah.
Deviljiho, if you guys didn't know, is one of the most powerful monsters in Monster Hunter World. Like it's like on the level of an Elder Dragon practically.
I was gonna mention that Deviljiho is basically the most nightmarish pickle you'll ever encounter in your life. So yeah, just kid them. For those that already have phobias for pickles for some reason, well, Deviljiho will pretty much amplify that triple. So yeah, but the Deviljiho, like man, they nailed the hell out of the Deviljiho. Like he beats the shit out of the lower monsters just as he does in World, and the four hunters like fighting with their weapons and using their traps and their tools and everything to even use the parashroom to literally have the paralysis shot for Nadia to use her bow gun to shoot at the Deviljiho to paralyze him. Like everything just felt really excellent. Seeing it all in motion and action was just so damn good. We don't need fucking rocket launchers or remote detonators.
That was definitely my favorite fight of all of it because like it involves two monsters at the same time, and there's two parts to the fight. The first is the Kongolala, and then the Deviljiho, and Deviljiho is one of the toughest monsters out there. So that I mean they were going by at the skin of their teeth practically.
Then after this fight, well, Julius gets pissed at Aiden for disobeying him and for pretty much just like being reckless and for not following orders or specific plans on what to do. And Aiden kind of like got ashamed of it a bit. And for a moment, it seemed that there was going to be no way that they would fight the Lunastra together. But at the end, they pretty much after Julius has a talk with Nadia, they pretty much settled that we have to fight Lunastra, and they do fight. They do, and they reunite with Aiden and the others, and they're pretty much good. And during this night, they're pretty much having a big, a big dinner. Yeah, feast. And everything's going well. They're having some talks, everything. But Lunastra decided to pretty much invade the freaking village at that night. She couldn't hold up any longer. And so they pretty much got ready to fight. Even the Smithy joined in with a Deviljiho armor. Yep, he was ready to fight. And not only he had a Deviljiho armor, but he had a switch axe, which is really cool. A switch axe, that's so badass.
I would have liked if they added the feast where everyone starts eating and then just go like, oh, no, start eating like in a crazy fashion, like you've seen in like a million times in the Monster Hunter series, so that it kind of brings that authenticity even more to the series, because that's always a funny part to see in the Monster Hunter game every time.
Oh yeah, the amount of times I see my character eat, I'm just like, oh, I wish I could also have a feast like that. It's so glorious. But yeah, so yeah, they get ready to fight Lunastra, and the Lunastra fight. Oh man, so the Django, where do we begin with this one? Like, because this is the culmination of what we've been building up for this animated movie. Like, what do you think?
Okay, so when Lunastra appears, with the orange, flame in the background, and then you see the orange flame come out of his mouth too. It kind of threw me off at first, because like I mentioned before, she's known for her blue flames, everything blue,
With purplish in there.
with purplish, yeah, of course. But she appears and they're like, I don't want to fight this thing head on. Like, let's just back up. They're constantly like backing up the whole time.
This is actually an interesting thing to see, because usually when it's you and me, the Django, playing the games, we're not that afraid of the older dragons. We face them head on. Yeah, they're really tough, but we don't really are afraid. We know that the characters in the actual story, like in World, they are afraid of the other dragons and shit. But our characters are like, we are actually gonna take on these other dragons, and we're gonna beat the shit out of them, and we do. but in here, it's like a different change of pace. It's like two ace hunters, one female hunter that is not yet an ace, but far from a rookie, the one of the insect glaive, and Aiden, who's like pure full on rookie like status, like not even part of the guild yet. So like it's definitely a change of pace, because Lunastra here was actually more of a legitimate threat than we've ever seen in the games. In the games, once the first times we go against Lunastra, she may kick our asses. We do take her as a legitimate opponent, but never as a threat that we're unable to beat. Like we can pretty much beat her with practice and with stronger tools. But here in this animated movie, she's a threat that they have to pretty much like use whatever methods or tools they have to even beat her. Like she's a legitimate threat, one that can burn the shit out of you and actually kill you for real.
Oh yeah, it's extremely high, and they are just struggling the whole time. So they have set up traps for the fight, and they're not fighting it head on. So they're kind of keeping their distance but distracting it at the same time, so they can have these traps set up at the right time. So the only one that seems to like really just like able to take down anything is throughout this movie is Nadia because she has like this heavy bow gun, and the monsters that they're just going down, even including Lunastra because she gets hit in the head. She also gets hit on the wings, and she actually falls down because she was flying at one point, but she does fall down. But as they're backing away, there is a point where they have this giant, ballista set up
The
with
Dragonator, actually.
the Dragonator. Um, I mean, it's a smaller version than what we're accustomed to seeing, but
Yeah.
it's made from Deviljiho parts and Kongolala parts, and
Mhm.
they have it set up, and they're about to fire it on the Lunastra, but the Lunastra just throws its fire breath at the Dragonator, and it actually just ends up just like destroying most of it or some of it. So
It actually crippled it.
yeah, it crippled it, and they lost a lot of time from that. So they're kind of finding another way, trying to find desperately another way to distract the Lunastra. So they're coming up, trying to come up with ways, and I think Nadia shoots it at one point, or no, actually, I'm sorry, the Smith. He actually has, he has his charge blade, which looks freaking
It's Switch X, actually.
switch. Actually, I'm sorry, and it looks freaking awesome. But he ends up sacrificing himself in order to give him some time.
Mhm.
And after that point, they they fire the Dragonator right on its head, the
Mhm.
Lunastra's head, and it actually just incapacitates the Lunastra, and Lunastra is down. You don't really see a visible crack until later on. I think I don't like when I saw it firing on its head. I didn't really see a noticeable damage, and I
I
think
didn't see it either. I'm not sure if it was an animation problem
yeah,
or the hit pretty much was not it was only registered like because where they actually hit her was like not like directly in the middle of the hit but actually in one of the horns
yeah,
her.
like on the side, yeah.
Yeah, so which by the way, that actually does happen in Monster Hunter World, where if you actually do enough damage to his head, you can actually break the horns. So that's yet another fan service there that monsters can actually have their specific parts damaged or wounded, or even severed.
After that point, they are kind of like devastated and they're recovering, and then they think that Lunastra is down, but that's not the case. So Lunastra starts getting up, and Aiden actually surprisingly has a plan now, and he like gets out of the fight. So they have to distract Lunastra, but Lunastra ends up like destroying most of the village, and he or the insect glaive girl actually ends up using the insect to get the essence of Lunastra from its head, um, and grabs that essence and uses it to attack Lunastra at some point. And
Hmm.
before that, well, it actually attacks his head, and then Lunastra gets pretty pissed off, and now he starts using his, I think her cinder ability, and use
It's the mini version of the Supernova, if I'm not mistaken, which I think it is called a Cinder. Uh, so So yeah, it actually kills the Insectlate's bug.
yeah, it does kill the bug, and from that attack alone, it I think it killed a lot of villagers too. to be
It
honest.
it did
And
kill.
you see the flames like actually just stay on the ground. And if you're familiar with Lunastra in the game, like if you go around the flames or stay around those flames for too long, that it will do damage to your health slowly.
Oh yes.
Depending on the Lunastra, if it's a tempered version, it will go down. It will be gone.
You pretty much you have to not only have a cold drink, but you also will have to use a fireproof mantle and have some damn good fire resistant armor.
Yeah.
So
Actually, before that point, actually, the insect glaive girl actually gets killed.
she
Um,
gets killed. What
yeah.
I'm curious is how did she get like did Lunastra like did Lunastra like bite her or like with one of her claws swiped her like we don't see it. It probably very brutal with blood and everything. But
I
how do you think
was
she was
I was
killed?
surprised by that too. Like I'm actually rewatching this as we're doing this, and after she does the attack, her insect glaive gets knocked out, and she's like struggling to get up, but Lunastra is like face to face with her, and she ends up biting her, and then you see like the guy cover his child, and then they run away. Like she actually bites her, and we had no idea what happened at this point. I thought she would be saved or something, but no, she freaking dies right there. There's no there's no cats with the carts or anything to lift them out and get them out of there. No, people
Yeah,
actually die, guys.
yeah, yeah. This is definitely a change of pace in Monster Hunter because usually when you get enough damage, what with whatever the case, yeah, like the Django said, you get the Palikas returning you to the camp and shit. Obviously for gameplay purposes, of course, and because it's a game, obviously we don't see like. Have we even seen any hunters die in the games? Because I haven't, as far as I know. For an animated movie based on Monster Hunter, it took some risks that the games usually don't do. Which, I mean, yeah, it stays true to the games, but it's also not afraid of taking some risks when it needs to. And I think I can appreciate that. It definitely makes the movie have a stronger impact in the viewer.
They're pretty much struggling with this thing, and Aiden actually has his plan work, and the dam gets he wants to destroy the dam, so the dam gets destroyed, and you see like this water come and just wash away everything, the village, and including the
Lunastra.
Lunastra as well, which is great. And then that's how Lunastra just flees from there, and
I wouldn't be surprised if Lunastra actually got like actually drowned for good because fire water beats fire. So I wouldn't be surprised considering how much water she got in her face and her entire body, and those that are coated with fire and live with fire, well, if they get massive amounts of water, well, they could pretty much die and shit. Though granted, the games say that the water element doesn't hinder Lustra too much. It's more the ice and dragon elements, but that's more gameplay. So I can buy it that Lunastra can be beaten by a humongous flood of water.
after that point, they're not really celebrating. They're kind of mourning because like pretty much the entire village is gone, and they have to rebuild, and they have to bury the two hunters as well who
Mm.
died. Um, and then something that I think we didn't mention before is that when they were at the campfire in the beginning of the movie with Julius and Aiden, that Julius ends up giving Aiden armor, you know, um,
Oh yeah.
for as a monster hunter, um, and the weapons too. So he does, help him out in his journey because he does care about him, and I mean, like at first he was like, "I don't care about you, you're nobody," but he slowly grew into somebody who could, you know, eventually later on could hold his own and actually help out because his thing was like more about, I have to fight for the people. To prevent the monster attacks and stuff like that because that's kind of the role of a monster hunter. But Julius was kind of like, I fight my own battles when I feel able. But his thing is like, he's dealing with his own demons because his master died while he was being, very
Reckless?
reckless. Reckless, and he was wanting to attack like this. I think it was Elder Dragon or sort of. He was telling the story to Nadia, and he just ended up just getting his master killed in the process, and he blames himself tremendously.
I know which monster you're talking about. So they basically were fighting a Rathian, and apparently a Kushala Daora actually
Yeah.
intervened, and it pretty much caused entire ruckus. That's how they told the story.
Yeah, so he doesn't want to like have somebody else die on his watch, and like he's the master, and he trains this person to do like get killed in the process. So like he's kind of like you could see that struggling with him, and he doesn't want to see somebody else get killed on his watch and rise up to this occasion. But towards the end, you see like you know, he like he's like wrong. He feels completely wrong, and you know he doesn't really talk to Aiden very much. He communicates in his own gruff, man voice, man uh, way. But he slowly accepts Aiden towards the end, and then Aiden ends up joining the Monster Hunter group in the end. And he doesn't rebuild with the village. They kind of do like he just joins up with the Monster Hunters from that point on.
And Aiden eventually gets listed as in order to join the guild because Julius pretty much decides to take him on, and that's how he pretty much ended with the fifth fleet in Monster Hunter World, and I guess also Monster Hunter 4. So, yeah, in a way, it could probably be a prequel to both Monster Hunter 4 and World. It's definitely a prequel to World because the story is being told from is told by Aiden when they're on course to the new world. The Fifth Fleet going on course to the new world due to the circumstances with Sora Magdaros. So there is that, and what else? And the movie pretty much ended on that final cutscene of the Fifth Fleet just roaming the seas to the new world, and that was pretty much it. Oh, and the
Now,
credits they
yeah,
show some images of how the artist drew the sketches and everything to the animation. Like that was awesome. Nice touch.
yeah, that was really nice, and the Lunastra, and then the different creatures and stuff. And there's also a little after credit scene of Nox just walking with his cute little big giant backpack, uh, and that's it. I guess he'll do his own journey from that point on. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
something.
as a movie and an animated movie, I thought this was great. I thought this was fantastic, and I would love to see more of these in the future because I feel like, for me, like I don't think Monster Hunter was made for live action. I never thought that was the case. I thought
Mm.
this was perfect as an animated film or an anime, like an anime series. And for a movie, I thought this was great. And in the future, I'd love to see an anime series. I think that would be freaking awesome. They could do anyone or make their own journey, or they make their own hero and stuff, and tell his journey and how he fights these different types of monsters. I don't know, but there's so many different stories out there they could be telling um, that I think the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely think Monster Hunter shines at its best with animation. I don't think the problem is Monster Hunter going live action. I don't think the problem is that when we review that shitty Monster Hunter movie, I'll go more in detail. But basically, I don't think the problem is Monster Hunter going live action. Is rather the execution of how they did it, which is the problem. I won't get into more detail here. We're gonna review that shitty movie in the future. So, but yeah, this animated movie was great. Like it was everything Monster Hunter fans could have wished for. We got all sorts of fan service, and the story was well done. The pacing also was great. Just 1 hour, none of it felt like filler. None of it felt like it was just wasting your time on bullshit. Like it felt great. It was awesome. And seeing the hunters fight the monsters themselves, like the world, all of it felt like a true Monster Hunter adaptation. You could even put it in the main Monster Hunter timeline with 4 and World. Like that's how good it was.
If you guys want to see our thoughts and more of our thoughts, and then as well as like what we gave the movie, I recommend you guys check out our non-spoiler review. We'll put a link in the description. And
Hmm.
I really appreciate you joining me, General CGG.
Hmm. Hey, anytime, man.
So I'll put his info in the description down below. But I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video. And please be sure to check out our Tales of the Jedi collaboration series that we have on State of Star Wars. Please check that out. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Bye bye.